back in Grove Studios for another Acoustic Alternatives recording, and it is my pleasure to welcome Sarah. I didn't verify the pronunciation of your last name, Vitort.
Yes, Vitort.
Vitort, yay! And Scott Gilmore.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I did it right. They perform as Fox and Bones, and I had a chance to see them 2023 at the Arc. They were the opening act for the Talbot Brothers, and we chatted a little bit afterwards, and I said, hey, you guys would be a good fit for what I do on this thing, which I've been doing about 5 years or so in this. Well, there are several studios. You guys are just warming up in the one across the hall, which is about half the size of the one we're in. Grove Studios also has for people who are DJs if they want to practice their mixes and do it really loud and not worry about making the neighbors go, turn down that music on there.
Important.
And there's another studio that's about that same size down the hall where I used to do the podcast. 24/7 operation between Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti. And they've been basically the host of the podcast. They encouraged me to do this about 5 years ago. We said, we'd really love to have you do a podcast in our studio. I'm like, does the world need another music podcast? I said to myself and to them. And they said, yes, of course. Yeah. I had been let go from my radio job, which I had been doing this sort of thing pretty regularly there. And it was the pandemic, and I was very sad. And this was a very uplifting and life-changing thing, really, for me, because I got to go back and do the thing that I love to do, which was talk to musicians about their art. So I'm so glad that you guys are here. Is Fox and Bones like one of those Pink Floyd things where people ask you, which one of you is Pink? Which one of you is Fox?
We do get
People
that quite
do
often.
ask us a lot, yeah.
It's probably, with that kind of name, people have to wonder, did you come up with Fox? Because, females tend to be foxier than men are foxier, right?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Scott's been really campaigning to be Fox
for
the last couple of years, but I'm not allowing it so far.
Wow.
No, I'm. I
One
think
must
I've earned
control
the
their-
title of Fox.
Yes, you
With
have.
the hair.
Very good. There is a new single that came out in March called Ain't Giving Up Tonight. This is a follow-up to the latest record, which is called Long Time Honey. We'll show that to the cameras, which doesn't work in the audio version of the podcast. I don't know which songs you plan to do. You can do whatever you want, and you don't have to do that song just because I mentioned it, but it would be nice for people to hear you sing.
Oh, darn, let's do it.
Let's do it. We're down. My friend told me Saturday she was in bed by 9. Said she missed her crazy days, but I'm still living mine. Couldn't help feel a bit of regret hidden in the cracks of the words she said. Now I'm standing here with a drink in my hand, wondering who's got it right. Maybe I should give it up, but I ain't giving up tonight. It's 2 a.m., here I am again, just having the time of my life. Maybe I should give it up, but it's too late this time. I'm gonna give it up, but I ain't giving up tonight.
I've been known to knock 'em back since early in my teens. When I think of the things I've done, well, it all feels like a dream. Maybe I've been going soft, wondering where the time crept off. Should I keep trying to beat the clock or finally settle down? Maybe I should give it up, but I ain't giving up tonight. It's 4 a.m., me and my friends got that crazy look in our eyes. Maybe I should give it up, but it's too late this time. I'm gonna give it up, but I ain't giving up tonight. Am I falling behind? Am I dimming my light? Or is it me that's got it right? Is it me that's got it right? Maybe I should give it up, but I ain't giving up tonight. 6 a.m., here I am, watching another sunrise. Maybe I should give it up, but it's too late this time. I'm gonna give it up, but I ain't giving up tonight. Maybe I'm falling behind, but I ain't giving up tonight.
Or maybe I'm dimming my light.
But I ain't giving up tonight.
Or maybe it's me that's got it
But
right.
I ain't giving up tonight.
Oh, maybe I will, maybe I won't.
But I ain't giving up tonight.
No, I ain't giving up tonight.
No, I ain't giving
Ain't
up
giving
tonight.
up tonight. Ain't giving up. Ain't giving up. But I ain't giving up tonight.
That is excellent. Brand new single from Fox and Bones, Ain't Giving Up Tonight, on Acoustic Alternatives, the podcast done at Grove Studios from, I assume, a forthcoming full-length record.
We assume so as well.
Is there any reason not to assume that at this
Yes,
point? Although some
no,
people
that's
just do EPs. And
Yeah, that's definitely what we're working towards. We've kind of got this new system with, we've been working with a wonderful producer and co-writer named Greg Holden on the last record and the upcoming. And so kind of our system has just been to like go in, record a single at a time until we have an album to release.
it's a good plan. And this is not an insult to the 3 records that are sitting across the room from me that I don't own yet until I pay you for them. But this one, from what I streamed, is leaps and bounds better sounding, better prepared for world domination, shall we say, than the other 3. So working with Greg, I think, was an excellent idea.
Yeah.
If that's the formula for the next record, you're on the right track.
It feels that way, yeah. He definitely, the big difference, besides the Greg part, I mean, the big difference that he made in our songwriting is that he made us sit down and write together. Oh. Because in the previous records, you know, the first record we were writing together, but that was also 9 years ago. We were different people then, we were different writers then. We were just kind of figuring that whole thing out. And then the other 2 records, you know, we started to write separately a lot, and then we would kind of like, you know, maybe I'd write a verse for a song that Scott wrote, or vice versa, or sometimes it would be entirely separately, and then we'd try to come together, and you know, neither of us really have a totally producer mindset, and we worked with a wonderful engineer on those records, but there was really no one there fully producing, being like taking the songs in a direction. Scott and I just had a lot of raw data that we were feeding into the machine, and so with Greg has really been like, okay, the 3 of us are going to sit down. We're going to write a song from scratch. What do you want to write about? How do we want it to feel? And it's given us a way to streamline our creative process, and also like come back together as a team and figure things out together, which has been good.
In a perfect world where I have won the lottery and I own my radio station that I want to own, because that's what I would do with my lottery winnings, besides massage a day, I would take at least 4 of the songs off this record and put them in rotation.
Oh my gosh.
That's how I'm no longer able to listen to a record and just listen to it for enjoyment. I'm always turning on that radio part of my brain that says, would I play this on my radio show?
Yeah.
And I hear at least 4 excellent, like, radio-ready songs from an album that came out last year, right? Is that last year?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Time
Almost
is so
a year
weird
ago.
now, right?
Time is weird. Who knows?
After the pandemic just like wiped out 2 years of our lives, we all kind of lost track of what does it mean to be 6 months ago anymore.
I know, it's weird. It's
Very
so
strange.
weird.
Well, let's talk about. There's been 4 EPs, a career that has been going on for a while. An excellent website. The photos on the website so professionally looking. I mean, bands in your genre, there's not a lot that are doing the major venues, right? So this is the kind of music I love supporting on this podcast. There are the occasional people like a Jeff Daniels or a Glenn Phillips or Stephen Page from Bare Naked Ladies have been on the podcast as well, because I've had relationships with them at various points in my radio career. But I love taking this kind of music and elevating it to other people, because I think playing an 80-seat room or a 400-seat room is not enough for this kind of stuff. It's great stuff that I want people to hear. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. When did your journey as a duo begin? It sounds like from my research, you guys were in different rock bands separately, right?
Yeah, Sarah and I were both in rock bands at the time when we first met. I know I had been wanting to get into a more sustainable project. We had six guys in our rock band, and we were staying in one hotel in each city that we were going to, and it was a sweaty lump of man. And I was ready to get a little potpourri into our touring career. And so I found when Sarah and I met, it felt like a good jumping point where we could have, like actual beds each night, and when we were on the road, be able to stay in places that were more comfortable. And also to lean towards songwriting and acoustic music, which we then, as we've grown through our career, we're ending up back in a more rock Americana place. But that's just a natural progression of things, I feel.
Yeah, Long Time Honey is definitely more of a rock record than. I mean, it's an Americana record, but it has a rock bend to it.
Definitely. Yeah.
Slowly filling up the hotel rooms with band members again, and so I don't know.
There's definitely been a lot more squeezing men into a room on this tour because we have a bass player with us for the last year. But yeah, I think that it's inevitable that when you take two rock singers and they start a folk project, that it's going to end up rock again. But it's nice to keep that element of folk because I also, when I was writing solo, I started as a country singer and kind of moved into rock. And so I really like the ballads and the singer-songwriter stuff as well. And so it's nice to have Americana kind of gives you an outlet for both, which is nice.
Because Americana is not all that defined. It is it is this umbrella that has a whole bunch of different things in it. Like, just plug that in there because it's not really country and it's not really folk. Yeah, it's not really pop, but it's not. It's like you could. It's Americana.
You can fit it into any of those genres easily.
It has a guitar, so it's probably Americana.
Exactly.
So let's talk about you as individuals. Scott, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Martinez, California, which is the East Bay, kind of by San Francisco, Oakland. So we were just a public transit ride away from being in the city, but also it was a suburbs area. So it was a pretty calm upbringing, I'd say.
Did you do anything that was significantly bad as a child?
Oh my! I've been known to sneak out of the house a couple times, but overall, flew pretty straight and got out of there relatively unscathed.
I was gonna say I have some favorite stories of Scott's upbringing. But
yeah, I don't know if that's.
Well, remember, this lives on the internet forever, so if you don't want those stories to be heard, don't tell them.
Yeah, that's fair.
When did guitar become a thing that you did?
I think right about at the end of my sporting career. I had aspirations of being a basketball player, but for those of you listening, I'm not necessarily the tallest or fastest or strongest or most talented at basketball. And so once I saw that career going by the wayside, that's when I picked up a guitar. I was like, this is something that I could put all my angst and energy into and just hit the ground running and just started learning song after song after song and really fell in love with playing music and playing old Beatles and Zeppelin songs. And from there, it kind of just took hold. Then for the next 10 years, I just had a beat-up guitar with an umbrella taped to it, just walking around the mean streets of Eugene, Oregon, for playing music all day long. So it really picked up and held on after that.
I'm trying to imagine you as a basketball player with that flowing hair, and you like.
Oh yeah, no hair at that time. Yeah.
No hair or beard then, which probably helped a lot.
Well, you look like a rock star, so that works. Yeah. Okay. Sarah, where did you grow
up? So I grew up in Vancouver, Washington, which is a suburb of Portland, Oregon. So I've pretty much been there for my whole life, besides a quick stint in LA. But yeah, I'm a Northwest girl for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your upbringing like?
I was very. My parents were pretty strict, and so I was very sheltered. But there was also a lot of music happening. So my mom was a professional singer and choir director, and my dad was in radio as well, actually.
I apologize for that.
Yeah,
it's not a great way to make a living.
For 30 years he retired early when it started to go like this, but for 30 years he was in sales. He was, for iHeartRadio. So it was, he was doing that. And so when I was a kid, we were constantly getting, my dad would take us to work and we would get to meet the artists that would come through. And back when, that was still a big thing where people made these stops on radio. Maybe they still do, but, we'd get free CDs and we get signed pictures. My dad was always bringing home stuff, and we'd get backstage at concerts. And so I kind of got this, this taste for it early. And I started playing guitar at 7. My mom got me into voice lessons pretty young. I was in choirs and competed in, solo and ensemble in high school. And then, but I never really saw it as a career necessarily. So I was definitely raised with music as a hobby. And then at some point, I was just like, I started writing and I was like, this is all I want to do. Cool. And so I was definitely primed for that.
2 questions came out of what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite people that you met working with your dad, like when you popped into the radio station?
I think actually my favorite, and granted I was pretty young then, but it felt like a big deal at the time. We still have a picture of this somewhere. I got to meet Mandy Moore backstage at this concert, the summer concert they used to do. I did get Christina Aguilera's autograph, but I didn't get to meet her. So those were my favorites then, because I just loved pop music when I was growing up. I loved all the Spice Girls and the Britney Spears of all of it. You're
a 90s girl then.
Oh yeah, big time. Okay. Yeah.
My other question was, what was it? Oh my gosh, don't get old. You lose track of things when you get old. It was related to something you said. Oh, my goodness. It'll come back to me at some random moment during this interview, and I'll ask you then.
I'll be ready.
I hope so. I hope I'm ready. Fox and Bones are my guests today on the Acoustic Alternatives podcast. And they've got 4 records, as we mentioned. There's a new one on the way. We don't know when, but we know that Greg Holden is behind the helm again, which is good news. I didn't actually ask you guys how many songs you want to do while you're here. Do you want to do 3 or 4? Let's answer that question before we continue.
Great question. Yeah, we'll do 4. Why not?
Okay.
We're here. Let's play.
Let's squeeze another one in.
Yeah.
What are we doing next? Can be anything you want.
How about Strange and Wondrous Place?
Okay, I was just going to suggest that maybe you don't do covers because, you know,
Oh, yeah. We can do all our own songs.
do your own songs.
Yeah. We only get 4. We should do ours.
What's it all worth anyway? Can you measure life in numbers? And if so, what's a fair rate of exchange? Do you know the price point for each new breath that you take? If you only had a moment left, what would you want to say? How long does this ride last? Is there really any difference between our future and our past? We're going through changes, hell. Everybody's changing, it seems. Well, you'll never be the person you are till you ditch the person you've been. And time doesn't know the shape we're in. We keep trying our best to explain. Life is always dying to begin. What a strange and wondrous place we're in. What's it all worth anyway? I'd say a lot, but it's all about perspective these days. Don't let them tell you anything at all. Some people hit the ground running while others take a lifetime to crawl. Time doesn't know the shape we're in, that's fine. Whatever's meant to be. I'm just trying my best to comprehend what a strange and wondrous place we're in. What a strange and wondrous place we're in.
What a gift to have you here. Fox and Bones on Acoustic Alternatives at Grove Studios in Ypsilanti, the podcast home for almost 5 years now. And I do got to give them a shout out because they have been so kind to let me have this be the home for the podcast. If you're a musician in the Ann Arbor or Detroit area looking for a place to practice your basically their motto is get out of the garage and get into the studio. It's a very affordable 24/7 operation, and there's a podcast studio that I'm standing next to. If you've watched previous or we've listened before, you've probably heard from the table right behind me where I've done the last several. There's been 80 or so of these done in this studio, so I'm grateful for Grove Studios for giving me an opportunity to do something that I love to do, which is promote great music like that. That is not on the latest record. What's that from? Is that from
That is the
ones?
record previous.
Okay, the one that's over there that I still need to pay for. We mentioned that. I remember the other question. It was
Yes.
what did you want to be? If you didn't think musician was your career path, what was your career path?
No, I mean, for sure I wanted to be a rock star most of my childhood. And then when I started to get realistic, I was like, okay, I think I was subconsciously, I was like, how can I still be in front of people? I like being on stage. I like being on camera. And so I, in high school, got really into the TV news station at my school, and I decided I was going to go to school for broadcast journalism. So I spent 4 years at Washington State. And it was cool because in addition to being like my program and classes were all around news, but then there was my extracurriculars were all around we had a whole TV station that had all sorts of different programming. So I was on like a TRL type show. I was on like a bunch of different shows that were completely student run. And then that's why I lived in LA. I went and interned at E. I thought I wanted to be an entertainment news personality, and got down there. First of all, just didn't. LA was not for me at that time in my life. I just couldn't. Yeah, it was jarring to be in LA. And then I realized that by working at E, I kept myself from ever being able to audition there. You can't audition from the inside. So I was like, oh, okay, well, there's that. But I did work in the music supervision department at E. So it kind of did, in some ways, lead me back to music again.
Scott, were you dreaming of firemen or policemen or something like that?
Aside from my completely irrational sports dreams, there was a brief period with music when we're on and off the road where I started looking at maybe teaching elementary school, because I had worked in after school care there at a school in outside of Portland, Oregon, and I just have always enjoyed working with kids, and so that was something that I've been thinking about that lately. About that was a kind of a path that could have been taken if we didn't get on the road and just get just tour.
I thought you were about to tell me that's what you're like. I've been thinking about that lately. I've been thinking about quitting the band and being an elementary school teacher.
News dropping. I'm gonna work at an elementary school.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sarah.
He's like, I'm trying to make some money. Let's go. Let's go be a teacher.
I'm trying to get rich. I'm gonna go into teaching.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually the perfect lead into the question that I'd already prepared next. Accidentally, we got there, but I mean, at some point, I have a lot of musician friends from the local music scene who are equally as talented, who deserve to be heard as well. And many of them are working as teachers in Ann Arbor high schools, or selling insurance, or working the church music at the local church. And I mean, there has to be at some point, you have to say to yourself, I'm going to take that leap of faith and leave this comfortable job, or a job that has a 9 to 5 or a steady paycheck, and go, I am ready to go do the national touring thing. Like, you guys are not from this side of the country. You're far, far away from home. So you're taking a gamble that when you show up at the venue, there's going to be people there. What was the impetus to say, I'm prepared to do that and take the chances that it's going to work out?
I think we got to kind of ease into it, because when we were working, we both had jobs where we could leave for a month or two, and so we'd do 2 months at work, then we'd try a month on the road, and then we'd do a month of work, and then 2 months on the road, and eventually we got enough momentum to get fully onto the road. And these days, though, I do feel there's so many work-at-home jobs or things that you can do that can supplement.
Gig economy jobs.
That can supplement your income. Our good friend and former manager Colby Hayden back home says octopus income. And so with music, you just got to have a lot of income streams coming in, and they don't have to all be the main thing. Like, music is the main thing, and the touring, that's where you put most of your energy. But any sort of supplemental things that you can to pad that and make sure that you're not breaking down in hives and tears on the road.
He says that looking at me, because that's what I've been doing, because I do have a remote job that I've been working from the road, and this is the first tour where I've tried to do that. It is a lot. And I, like, when I was assessing taxes this year, I was like, I had 5 different jobs last year. And that's just kind of what it takes to make it work. I think when we first went out on the road, and we were, when we first made the jump and quit our jobs, I'm not sure we had a house either. So it was like, not paying rent helps a lot.
Sure.
Or, figuring out like ways around that. And, I think that, you talk about there's a lot of talent in this town, and we feel the same way about Portland. Like, there is an insane amount of talent in Portland. And, I think talent only gets you so far. The rest is kind of audacity.
Yeah.
You have the audacity to come to Michigan and be like, hey, we've never been to Chelsea, Michigan before. I hope someone shows up to our show, and we feel like our music deserves to be heard all over the country. And, it's that audacity that kind of propels you forward, because you kind of have to believe in the thing and the vision before anyone else catches up to you. And so that's, I think, what national touring is all about.
Audacity and merchandising.
Well, very good.
Yes, yeah, merchandising, selling merch really does help for sure on the practical side.
Was there like a TV song placement or a movie song placement that made audiences go, "Oh yeah, I've heard of Fox and Bones"? Was there one of those moments?
Someday soon.
Okay.
We're manifesting, but no, nothing like that.
So just hard work.
Just hard work. We've literally we played for 9 years. We've been touring, and we were playing in the back of a coffee shop. We were playing in the corner of a bar. And it's amazing how now that we're, playing headlining shows in these listening room venues where people will be like, I saw you at XYZ brewery. You were playing covers in the corner. And I came back to see 8 years ago. And I loved you so much then that I wanted to come back and buy a ticket. And so that stuff, I mean, while that's not like career building in the way that the industry wants to tell you it is, like just getting out there and playing wherever anyone will let you play in a different city. That's how we started. We just were like, hey, can we play here? And people are like, sure. You want to set up over there? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it's been the slow and steady wins the race type of career for us.
Yeah. 9-year overnight success story.
Yeah. And and who knows how much longer, but we've just kind of kept committing to it over and over. And we're always pleasantly surprised at people being like, we saw you here and we drove 6 hours to see you here. And we're like, wow, okay. So
absolutely no diss to my previous guest, who was the last person in the studio with me, but his path was about 16-year-old putting up covers on the web, got discovered doing that, ended up landing a spot on the final season of Glee. 2 years later on America's Got Talent. He's playing the same size room as you are. So the path was different, but you arrived at the same spot. He's incredibly talented. He's got a great voice, writes great songs, but you guys just did it differently. And you're playing, you just played 20 Front Street, just like you're going to play tonight.
I do feel there's something really nice too about getting to make we made so many of our mistakes in relative private. Like these first 4 years where we're playing these background gigs, and these bar gigs, and these like not very well attended shows. Like we got to make years and years of mistakes on the road, so that now these sets that we play in these more populated avenues are, we've done our time. We've learned made all the mistakes we need to make to now feel that we're in it.
Yeah, you always think about how would I feel if we had blown up 7 years ago, and I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's the music I would have wanted to be singing every night. I feel like this album, like Longtime Honey, is the first album, and the last one too, but this one especially, it's like, I think I could play these songs forever, and that feels good because now I feel like we've got that foundation of the practice of it, and then now we have the songs that we'd be willing to, keep coming back to.
I ask this only, it's not like prying into how much do you make, but on the outside, like looking into your website, looking at your videos, everything is very professionally done. It's really it's professional, and that costs money. So you have been doing well enough to do that, or are you raising that through Patreon, or how are you funding those without getting too, again, I'm not asking about your income, but.
Yeah, it's just, we've always felt that we want to work with the best of each medium, and so if we know a videographer that's the top that we'd love to work with, we try to do something with them because we want something that we're excited about. We know that each of these things on the website and the videos are something that will be around for a while, and so we want to invest into them. I think we aren't shy about investing in ourselves, and we'll just play the gigs to make it back. Or put it on a credit card.
Yep, credit cards are your friend. But Scott and I have since pretty early on, we've been just treating this like a business, and a lot of businesses invest for years and years and years and don't make any money. Like a restaurant, for example, sure. It can take 3 years for a restaurant to start seeing profit. And, for us, there's been years that have been much more flush and years that have not been. And, so it's not necessarily the same steady trajectory as something like a restaurant, but we have always viewed it as you invest into the business to get something out of it. And for us, it's always been more worth it to okay, we'll pay this off somehow. But, having a good video right now feels important. And, when people look back on our catalog, they can see that, we put everything into this. And
when you're booking gigs, you send that out and they go, oh, wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not like I'm shooting video of you right now. I hope it turns out. And then maybe these are good tools to use as well. This is what we look like in an acoustic setting. This is how we sound.
Right. So, it's good to have so many options.
I'm just concerned about, I've been in the industry longer than maybe you've been alive. I don't know. 1985 was my first job in the record industry. I was in a record store. And so 40 years of watching the industry go from records to CDs were new. I watched CDs debut. I sold those at a record store. I've watched vinyl come back. I mean, the whole thing. Like, if you had been a new act then, as an independent act, I probably never would have heard of you. And I told this to my previous guest as well. Like, there's probably no chance that you would have broken through to my radar without Atlantic Records or Columbia Records sending me your record so that I knew you existed.
Right.
But now it's a level playing field. On the other hand, that means there's so much more competition. So I'm just so concerned about the industry in a way that if I was a 12-year-old kid who loved music, is it a good career choice? No, it's not at all. I mean, there's not a great way to, you guys have figured out your income stream somehow, but it's just such a bad idea. But I don't want people to stop making music, and I'm concerned about that because music is the thing that keeps me alive, quite honestly. How do you guys feel? Like, do you feel we're okay?
I'm almost less concerned about the 12-year-olds because they know how to use TikTok. But, you know, I have a lot of thoughts about this because I do think that, especially you know, as we're on the precipice, well, we're already in it. We're in the AI world where, you know, AI is going to infiltrate a lot of the music industry. And some people are very worried about that. I am not, because there's no substitute for being in a room with live music. And I think that, like, another thing that we have been talking about on stage a lot is that, like, this is a calling more than it's a job. And so when I think about talking to, you know, younger kids, it's like, if this is the path that's calling you, you're never really going to be able to get away from it. And you may as well put your all into it. You know, you may as well have fun doing it, because at the end of the day, like, life is crazy and it's a hard world out there. And if there's something that you love that much, like, you just got to do it, you know, and as much as you possibly can.
Scott, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's only going to be a bad career if you don't put all yourself into it.
Yeah.
And so we've been around a lot on this tour, and we had a few people say, you know, like, this is a hard job, this is a hard career. It's not. This is a great career. It's a wonderful career. It's something that if you love doing, you're going to love doing it. And you know, you get to go and see. You pretty much get paid to go and see your friends and family once a year. You get a reunion with everyone that you love all over the country. And so I think that it's only going to be a difficult career if you don't dedicate yourself to it. But that's the same as anything. So it's like, if there's something that you love, you should go out and do it and try your best at it and appreciate it every step of the way.
Yeah. I heard somebody recently talking about, you know, like, if you have a passion for it and if something's calling you, you need to follow it to completion. And, like, you know, it doesn't matter what that thing is, but, like, do it. You got to do it all the way until you feel complete with it. And, you know, and that may be on your deathbed, right? Like, there may never be a completion besides just that you're not alive anymore. But you know,
Wow.
It got dark in here. Turn off the lights.
But, you know, and I think that that's like a good way for me to think about it, because I sometimes very much get caught up in is this working and does anyone care? And, like, that weighs really heavily on me. And so it's been good for me to, like, surround myself with these reminders of, like, you know, what else would I be doing? Like, I did do the corporate world. It was harder for me to do that because my soul felt restless there. And I know that about myself. I put a couple years into that to figure that out. And, you know, I didn't know then that I was going to end up here, but I ended up quitting my corporate job and going on a solo backpacking trip around South America. And that's when I started writing music, and it very much called me. And so, you know, it's like, it's in a more comfortable life maybe to do the 9-to-5 thing and, you know, whatever, but there's still going to be challenges to that. And for somebody like me, there's going to be a lot of challenges to that. And so this is in some ways easier, you know.
I'm glad you made the leap. I'm glad, Scott, we would never met had you stayed in the corporate. Same with you, Scott. Had you chosen another path, we never would be in a room together.
No corporations are hiring me, just so you know.
Okay.
I'm unemployable.
Maybe if you cut your hair, hippie. No, I'm kidding.
Hippie.
They can't. People who aren't watching the video don't know I have none, but I'll show you a picture later of when I did, and you'll laugh like, oh my God, that's you. I carry it to make fun of myself. The fourth album from Fox and Bones, Longtime Honey, is definitely, as I mentioned earlier, the one that I think, if people were starting to listen to your music, start there and then work around that and go forward. When I was hearing House by the River, every time it would come on, it felt familiar. Like, I know this song, but I don't. It's a new song. How do I know this song? And it took me until maybe a week or two ago, because I was re-reviewing the album. I've had it in my collection for a little while. And it doesn't sound like a particular song, but I think I figured out who it reminded me of. And it was, strangely, The War on Drugs. And I don't even know their stuff that well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pretty accurate? You're shaking your heads.
That was one of Greg's production
big fan.
influences.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
so
glad I
that-
arrived there.
That's spot on. He'd
'Cause
be so happy to hear that.
The
I'm
radio
sure.
station that I used to work for, when we were playing one of their singles from the Breakthrough record that kind of got them more attention, that song that we played reminded me of Bryan Adams, which was really weird because there's like I'm sure the War on Drugs did not grow up listening to Bryan Adams like I
Oh,
did.
you never know though, because like that '80s influence, it kind of is coming back in so many ways. Like people are really yeah.
It was like early, like pre-big hit Bryan Adams
Yeah.
stuff. That anyway,
Okay.
just weird
Love it.
connections that I was making as I was listening. But I also know that the proximity that where you guys grew up wasn't all that far from a very big music scene in Seattle. Did that bleed into what you guys did as younger artists at all?
Not for me. I was pretty young in the grunge era, so I was not paying attention to that. I was it was Spice Girls all of the 90s for me.
Okay.
I wish I had cooler music taste than that, but you probably listened to some
Oh yeah, I
Seattle.
definitely listened to a lot of grunge, but then it kind of transitioned into the Beatles, Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and so I had kind of like a palate cleanser on my way to songwriting. Where when I started writing songs, that's what like I was trying to do Beatles and Dylan type of songwriting, and so I kind of had it was a little bit of an edge to it, but I definitely kind of have the singer songwriters of the '70s in my songwriting catalog.
If you, I did this for somebody. One of my friends asked, "Hey, I have twins, and I really want them to know music. Could you make me a collection of music to explore like the best music, so that they have a wide thing?" And so, yeah, obviously Beatles and Stones and all that kind of stuff that was important. Basically, it's like, okay, what made the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and what do I think is the biggest influences? And yes, of course, the grunge scene has its place in the history of time, and it was. Like you can point to here in Detroit, we had the Stooges. When without the Stooges, you probably don't get the Ramones, and without the Ramones, you don't. You can follow that progression. So I tried to come up with like the things that would be the building blocks for all of music. And I mean, who didn't start at the Beatles? That you should start at the Beatles. My first record was actually a Paul McCartney and Wings 7-inch single before I realized that there was this band called the Beatles. I was like 7, so give me a break. But yeah, I mean, it's part of the necessary education, I think. So. If you don't know the Beatles, Sarah, go back.
Oh, I grew up on the Beatles
Okay,
too, but
good.
probably different era than Scott. My mom was really into the early Beatles.
Well, actually, Rubber Soul and Revolver, I think, are the two that I would start with if I was trying to say, you want to introduce yourself to what the Beatles were? Go there, and then go in both directions from there. That's, to me, the best two records.
Oh yeah, we have both of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as if being an artist weren't challenging enough, you guys also put together a folk festival in Portland. I don't know where you find the time to do this. Tell me about how that came about.
We were on the road so much, we just wanted to figure out how we could actually see our friends for once. And so I was like, okay, well, we'll pay them. We'll book them. We'll pay them and book them. Then we could all be together for one night and play some music together. And from that, the energy of the one night folk festival just felt so good that we wanted to keep it going. And so we expanded to 2 days and upped the venue to a 300 capacity venue, McMiniman's Mission Theater. That went well. They tossed us up to the 1,400 capacity Crystal Ballroom. And we've been there ever since, and it's gone from 3 days to 2 days and back and forth a little bit, but we're sitting at about 2 days with 30 artists, all from local, national, and we still get to actually hang out with our friends, and that's coming up January 30th and 31st. So if you want to come to Portland in the best time to be there, January.
It's pretty
come
similar
come
to when
along.
the Ann Arbor Folk Festival is, because you guys are very close to Ann Arbor right now.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Oh,
right
That's at
around
the
the
Arc,
same
right?
weekend. Yeah, the Arc puts
Oh,
them
yeah.
on.
Okay.
Have you been invited to that before? I guess
We
you can't
haven't.
because you're busy with your own.
Yeah,
Hey,
I was
we'd
gonna
c-
say we'll
we'd
have to.
fly
If
out.
if it's not the exact same weekend, we would come.
Yeah.
Hey, Ann Arbor Folk Festival.
Any other
book
folk
us.
festivals invite you guys out after organizing your own? Does it ever lead to that?
Well, it's definitely led to having more interaction with people who have done festivals, and you definitely have. It's kind of like a kindred spirit because it's the stress and the planning of talent buying and organizing all that definitely attracts a certain breed of crazy, and so you get a connection with a lot of those bookers and talent buyers and the other festivals, and we've popped around to some festivals in the area too through it. So
That's cool.
Yeah.
Fox and Bones are my guests today on Acoustic Alternatives, the podcast. We're going to do 4 songs. I'm not singing. This is a good thing. Nobody wants that.
Just do some harmony. It's
No,
cool.
unless it's a song I know. You don't have to, but is there another new song you feel like you could do? Or
I was
would you
thinking
want
we
to
do
do
the
some
title track of the record, Long Time Honey.
more?
Yeah,
Okay, I
and
meant
then
like new unreleased, but
we
whatever.
also have we do have a new unreleased, and I would like to play that one. So
right.
we'll
Long
do that
Time-
one last.
Long Time Honey's great. Do it.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
Fill up your cup, don't you dare break it. Is it ever enough, or are we full of holes? It'll never be real till you take the time to make it so close you can taste it. This road is only one way. There's a heat in the air. I know it's been a long time, honey. It feels like we're getting there. Once lost in the distance, like a last-ditch prayer. I know it's been a long time, honey. It feels like we're getting there. Use what you got. Why bother trying to save it? Ready or not, time is passing by. Go get what you want. There's no use in waiting. Can't take it to the grave. This road is only one way. There's a heat in the air. I know it's been a long time, honey. It feels like we're getting there. Once lost in the distance, like a last-ditch prayer. I know it's been a long time, honey. It feels like we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, it feels like we're getting there. There's no use in waiting. Gotta reach out and take it. This road is only one way. There's a heat in the air. I know it's been a long time, honey. It feels like we're getting there. Once lost in the distance, like a last-ditch prayer. I know it's been a long time, honey. It feels like we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, it feels like we're getting there.
One of the 6 songs on my fictional radio station that would have been in rotation.
Yes.
John, I hope you win the lottery.
Yeah, I'm praying for that. Yes.
Me too. Fox and Bones, Long Time Honey, title track from the record from 2024, produced by Greg Holden, songwriter extraordinaire. His new album's quite good as well.
It's so good. Yeah.
Got that one. I've been a fan of his since the first album. And I think Boys in the Street should have been much more impactful. I mean, people know it, but that's such a great, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that song it's
a killer.
Wow.
Scott had something to say about it. I don't know.
Well, aren't they wasn't he going to make a movie based on that?
Oh, yeah. I think that's public knowledge. I think they're making a short film.
It is now.
Based on, he's been posting about it, so I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But yeah, he flew to Georgia, I want to say, and they made a short film about that song. So I don't know when that's coming out. I think they're shopping it to film festivals first, and then we'll release it. But yeah, so hopefully that kind of reinvigorates the conversation around that song, because it's really good.
It is. I never have had the chance to interview him, but I did meet him. I think he opened for Sarah McLachlan. I went down to Toledo to see Sarah, and he was the opening act because I love Sarah. It's my favorite album of all time, actually, is Fumbling Towards Ecstasy. Is how when she's within a drive, I have to go.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, so, and he was the opening act. I'm like, well, I'm a big fan. I should see if he's going to be in the lobby and say hello and introduce myself and say, if you're ever in Ann Arbor, I'd love to have you at the station, but I don't think that ever happened.
We've been trying to get him to get back out on the road. We've been nudging him, but so far to no avail. But we'll see.
He's been doing some West Coast shows.
Yeah,
but
I saw that.
Yeah.
I'm on the email list about the record because I'm on the email list. Anyway,
Yeah.
Enough about Greg. This isn't about Greg. Unless, Greg, you're listening and you want to come by. Get your ass here. Well, we talked a little bit about like the familiarity of that one song. And have you ever written a song and go, has anybody already written this?
Oh, yeah.
Every song.
Every song. How do you verify? Because, I mean, there's so much out there.
I think I feel that you almost can't. You have to kind of just write the song and believe it and feel it and go with it. Because if you try to match up every chord and every song, like it's gonna get a match every time. It's like there's only so many chords, and so they're just bound to repeat. And so you just gotta believe in the sentiment of the song has to be the driving force of it, in my opinion. I don't know if Sarah has a different feeling on that.
I was just gonna say, put the song out first and deal with the lawsuit later when you have money.
Okay.
If the song gets big enough that someone's like, hey, that's my song, then like hopefully we have enough money to pay them off. No, I think Scott's right though, that there's always going to be some familiarity and there's always going to be some similarities, but you kind of just have to, you just have to kind of hope.
Yeah.
And certainly I'm sure there's been songs that's like, oh, this sounds similar, or like, especially with production, like you were saying with the war on drugs and stuff. But I think as long as you're consciously not trying to copy something, then you're doing the best you can.
It was several years ago. He's an East Coast guy, so you may not know Stephen Kellogg. Do you know Stephen at all?
Yeah.
Yes,
That sounds familiar.
So Stephen Kellogg and the Sixers were regular visitors to the station that I used to work at, and so we were like first to like think about adding their records and what have you. And they put up a single, and I immediately went, "Does he know he's ripping off Cecilia?" And then I know him well enough that I reached out to the contact at the label. I'm like, "Have you heard that this is almost Cecilia?" And they actually went in and re-recorded it and changed the chord.
Oh yeah.
No, I wasn't the only one who noticed.
Yeah.
But it was like, oops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we just did that on Ain't Giving Up Tonight. We the opening guitar riff. I was like, "Hey, you guys, that's Born to Run."
Oh,
It was exactly the same, and Craig was like, "Oh, you're right."
hard not to let it seep in. I mean, you've heard it enough, right? Yeah. Well, there's so many aspects to being a musician, being a touring musician, being a career musician. There's got to be, there's obviously the songwriting, there's the promotion, there's the driving, there's blah, blah, blah. You have to have a least favorite part of it. If you could assign one of these other duties and still do your thing, which one would you get rid of?
Loading in and out.
Yeah,
easily.
You don't help a whole lot with that, though.
It's because I don't like it.
You've been called out. Scott, what's yours?
We do have, though, there's a nice division of labor, too, because Sarah's a little bit more personable in the long run. And I do like to wrap up cables and load stuff. And so, like, we will post shows, we do find things that do this. Sarah will be on the merch booth talking more, and I'll be drinking and putting stuff in a van. So,
okay.
But, I think, I don't know, I like it all. Keep it all in.
Yeah.
I mean, marketing is not.
Maybe social media. There we go.
Did you get a marketing degree? Because you need one to be a musician.
I had an advertising degree, but it's not going great.
Yeah, the social media has kind of fallen to me, and it's a frustrating one. Especially with the advent of TikTok. You're just kind of throwing a bunch of paint at the wall and seeing what sticks, and
And algorithms are working against you. I mean, Facebook is really my only marketing plan. That's all I got. I don't have any money. So how am I going to get my stuff out there? I throw it up on Facebook. I hope you guys share it when I say, hey, Fox and Bones are my guests. And you guys share it, and maybe somebody sees it. So
yep, that's all you can really do. And I know that there's a lot more strategy to it. And probably I'm like, I should probably invest in some of that. But yeah, right now we're just kind of do the best we can.
Well, what keeps you pursuing this dream? I mean, it is a dream to probably play for bigger audiences than you're playing for while you're here in Michigan. What keeps you going?
The fact that we're doing it, the dream is alive. I think as long as the dream's alive, you're gonna keep living it. Like being able to go around the country and play for people who want to hear our music and sell them our merch and see family and friends. I think it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. It's like the dream. If the dream exists, you got to keep going towards the dream.
Yeah, I think for me, it's like I really, I have a lot of issues with self-doubt and self-belief, but like at the core of this, I do believe that there's something that we have that I think that people want, and we see it every night, in these small micro ways, and the way that people respond to our music. And I'm like, I really do think that like we could do this in front of a larger audience and touch people. And so I think it's just that, like, even though that sometimes the day-to-day weighs down on me, that like, do people care? It's like right now, some people care. So there's a small group of people that really, really do care. And I do believe,
Put me in the list.
thank you.
Care.
And I do believe that can grow, and it has grown, and it continues to grow. And so, I think I really do believe that. Saying we deserve it is a weird way to say it, but in my soul, I'm like, I believe that that's what we're supposed to be doing. Like, I feel like we wouldn't be guided in that direction if there wasn't potential.
I will support you deserve it, because you're actually making all of the efforts that you should make to make a difference into the success, right? If you're just like, oh, let's see what happens, that's different. You're just, maybe something will happen. No, you're like busting your butts and you're getting out there and you're doing this, and maybe you're doing radios in other cities. I don't know, but you're doing all the right things, and I hope it pays off.
I think it will. I know it will.
It already has.
Oh, great.
We're already here.
Scott hates when I say it. We have very different philosophies.
Okay.
Scott wants to believe that we've made it just because
No,
we
I
exist.
don't want to believe. I believe that it's happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Waiting for
And you
Sarah
can tell how
to
annoyed he
catch up.
is at looking at me. He's so annoyed with me all the time.
Cut it out,
but,
Scott.
You know.
I'm sure people come up after shows and say, I found your music because of X or because of Y. Has anybody ever said, I was searching for the TV show Bones on Fox and I found you?
We did. We got an email
Yeah.
from that, actually. Someone wrote an email. They were very upset about the season finale of the show, and they wanted us to fix it. Like, that's not us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right.
But Scott crafted a brilliant email back. This was like the first year of our career, so we didn't have the SEO yet.
Oh.
And so Scott wrote this letter back that was like, hey, I'm really sorry that you didn't like the ending. We actually had nothing to do with it. We're actually a folk band called Fox and Bones from Portland, Oregon. It sounds like you have an extra hour in your week, so if you've got time, here's the song. And did he ever respond? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Scott, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
But I hope that guy comes to a show someday.
I
That
hope
would be
so
a really
too.
nice full circle.
That's funny. New album coming soon-ish. How are you? How's the songwriting going? How many do you have ready for the next record?
We are about two
Got
songs in.
2 songs.
I like how Scott says about to. It's exactly 2.
Oh,
Well, this one's not out and done yet, so we're about to. We're getting close to there. The way we're trying to do it is go into the studio. We go in with no ideas, and then with Greg we craft a brand new song. And so ideally we're gonna have we do that every 2 or so months and just keep releasing those until we're within album shot.
8
And
to
so
10.
ideally like if I had it my way, if we could get this done in a year and be back on the road touring it and selling it, that would be the dream for me.
what's kind of writing the song lyric for you? What's inspiring you? Because there's a lot going on in the world. I don't know if that's the kind of stuff you want to write about, but what is inspiring lyric right now?
Yeah, I definitely, and this is in the future. We haven't even talked about this, but I think we've always kind of tried to put like optimistic spins on things, but I really would love to write a song that's just like, if this is the direction the world's going, like we're gonna have the most fun we can. Like I kind of like that premise more than like actually writing about the, on the activism side. But I do think that we will probably be inspired by things going on in the world, but we're gonna put our Fox and Bones spin on it, and we're just gonna try to like put out music that's uplifting and inspiring and fun while also still having depth. Because I think one thing that Greg really helped us do is like, bring, like, we don't have a lot of sad songs as Fox and Bones, but I do think it's good to have emotion mixed with fun. And so in my idea, that's like the perfect world. The perfect meeting would be another album that kind of has a well-rounded depth to it.
Scott's turn.
Yeah, Greg's pretty good at pulling out what we're feeling at the time. We can't hide our emotions or our feelings, and so I feel that going in there, it's you write what you know, and so a lot of it's what we see out in the world. A lot of it'll be what we're feeling about how things are going and what we're seeing on like a visceral level from going state to state and getting to see small pockets of music fans in every city around the U.S. And so I think a lot of it's based on experiences, and it'll be like I feel like a record oftentimes is like, okay, what do we feel about the world? What have we experienced in all this adventure? And that's kind of part of how the cycle goes. We go out on the road and we get to experience like what life is like and what people are feeling, and then we take those experiences back and try to summarize that and make a record of what the world's like at the moment. And so ideally that would be what I would like to do, is like, let's see what a snapshot of what this year is, this time in everyone's lives are.
And the next and final song of our session, tell me about this song and what is it called?
Yeah, so this song is called Borderline. We wrote this 2 days before we left on tour.
Oh.
And
Does Madonna know?
is there a Borderline Madonna song?
Oh, of course there is.
Maybe we'll
This
call
song
it
is called The Borderline.
Every time we need a different like name, we just add the Borderline. This song has a lot of elements of the things we've been talking about throughout this conversation, of just the way that this career feels inevitable, and the way that we really like to live life on the edge of society. And you know, that also means that like we don't always have like a place we call home, and we don't always get to have the easiest relationships, and we don't, you know what I mean? It does, there are sacrifices that you make, but at the end of the day, this is like an inevitable thing for us.
Well, I think too, on a broader scale, a more approachable scale, like The Alchemist, the idea that you have to go around the world and explore everything to realize that everything that you have and everything that you need is back at home. And so the idea of you got to leave to come back home, I think, is the calling card of the song, where it's like you got to go out and adventure to come back to, you got to leave to come back home. You can't come back home if you don't leave it.
Late at night, Burnside, lights on over the water. Weekends with friends, meeting the sons and the daughters. Somebody asked if I feel tired. I always wanted this kind of life. I'll do it forever. Baby, the best is out on the borderline. You can't know love till you're alone. Maybe the rest will all work out with time. The one thing that I know, you gotta leave to come back home.
Skip town, found out escape was never the issue. Heartaches can't stay if you want somebody to miss you. And I'm not smart enough to regret, but too smart to forget. I don't know any better.
Baby, the best is out on the borderline. You can't know love till you're alone. Maybe the rest will all work out with time. The one thing that I know, you gotta leave to come back home. You gotta leave to come back home. Baby, the best is out on the borderline. You can't know love till you're alone. Oh, maybe the rest will all work out with time. The one thing that I know, you gotta leave to come back home.
You gotta leave to come back home.
You gotta leave to come back home.
I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Borderline, new music from Fox and Bones, calling to mind, I guess, the similar theme to Passengers Let Her Go, right? It's sort of like Let Her Go. She comes back if she's that whole thing. Mm-hmm. Beautifully done. And it's been done in Grove Studios on Acoustic Alternatives. Grove Studios, thanks to them for making, a huge difference in my life, giving me a place to do this podcast. They also happen to sponsor something I do on an internet radio station called Sonic Coast. Every weekday at 3, we do the acoustic coffee break, and we play songs from my sessions. So
cool.
That one, if it's okay.
Yes.
If Mike.
Yes, please.
I'll get
We'd
your
love
permission.
that.
Okay.
Please.
Great. That one might end up on one of these 3 o'clock segments, which is incidentally brought to you by Grove Studios. So, hey.
Thanks,
how's that
Grove
work?
Studios.
Thank you. You guys probably have a Patreon page?
Yes.
We do indeed. Patreon.com/foxandbones.
What kind of cool things do we get if we sponsor your Patreon page?
A rough version of that song is up there right now. Unmixed, unfiltered, just the raw ideas on there. along with like first looks at all of our music videos, first listens to all the rough songs that we're doing, a bunch of cover requests from previous executive producers and Patreon members, and
you can be an executive producer on the next album if you can.
Wow.
There's a tier for that. So we had 2 on the last album, and there's a lot of cool stuff.
I wish I could afford to do everybody I want to support because I work in radio.
You probably have a ton. You'd have a ton.
And I've got like 15 or 20 people who support me on Patreon, so not a lot of like income from that. It's I'm totally grateful for all of them, and what their incentives are is they get to hear some old interviews I've done in my previous life. So I post like this session like recently, just threw up a couple I did with Joe Pug, who I would love to, now that he's doing podcasts, would be like,
nice.
I need to get him in. That'd be weird because he's way better at it than I am. But anyway, thank you so much for giving me a preview of that song, which, you know, if I'm not a patron on Patreon, I haven't heard it yet, but for giving me your stories and telling me about your lives and sharing your love. Like, I can tell you're a very fun person, and I can tell if I hang out with you, Scott, that I'd feel more grounded. So if you guys lived here and we were friends, I just know that we'd have that kind of relationship where, like, I'm looking to have some fun. Say, Sarah, what are you doing? Like, Scott, I'm feeling kind of crappy. Help me out here. Right? So that's a compliment. It's just I felt
as one.
Yeah, I felt comfortable with our conversation, and I really enjoyed spending some time with you guys.
Likewise, this was awesome.
Thanks
really
for having us.
Appreciate it. Yeah,
My pleasure. Grove Studios, again, the home of the podcast. We thank them. The next session is going to be recorded in a few more days. If you are an audio-only person, you will get the audio version of this one quicker and then the next one quicker, because the time I have available to edit video in the next 2 weeks is limited. But Haley Reardon is on her way to visit me here. I've been meaning to catch up with her for years, and we've never met, so this will be a fun one as well. Somebody whose voice just always grabbed me. Just a beautiful voice, and brings me to a different place. So I look forward to visiting with her, and thank you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.